WNBA commissioner
Cathy Engelbert
comes out and denies what we all see.
This is one of the worst takes ever heard from a commissioner of a league. So this is what she said.
that no winning team
ever complains about officiating.
No losing team ever complains about officiating.
You need to stop it, Cathy Engelbert. Enough is enough.
It's an absolutely embarrassing.
It is clear that they don't want the WNBA to succeed.
They let her get hit over and over again. No whistle, no protection.
Why and what should have been done? I looked seriously at the leadership of the WNBA. It basically was ignored.
And when fans, players, and even coaches called it out, the WNBA commissioner defended the referees instead of the league's biggest star.
WNBA referees simply playing against Caitlin Clark and the Fever.
Caitlin Clark is carrying the WNBA on her back while being targeted on the court and ignored by leadership.
Who is this?
This is the moment.
Caitlin Clark is the star player of the WNBA.
Caitlin Clark and the revolution in women's sports.
The most popular woman ever in the WNBA, Caitlin Clark.
If you're 100% with Caitlin Clark, drop a 100% in the comments right now, because this story is getting out of control.
No doubt Caitlin Clark is a great story.
Caitlin Clark is way more important to the WNBA than Tiger Woods was to men's golf.
Caitlin Clark is the hero.
We'd never seen anything like that before.
It's not just bad officiating. It's starting to look like a calculated pattern. Game after game, Caitlin Clark is being shoved, checked, grabbed, slammed, and in some cases, outright body slammed.
Obviously being fouled. Right in the first quarter, Caitlin Clark obviously being fouled. The refs don't call it.
With zero accountability from WNBA referees.
One of the biggest problems in your entire league in the refereeing issue is awful. It is absolutely, absolutely awful.
These aren't borderline calls. We're talking about blatant, dangerous, high-impact fouls that would be flagged immediately in the NBA or even college ball. But in Caitlin's case, silence. Let's talk specifics. In one of the most infamous moments of the season, Marina Mabrey hip-checked Caitlin off the ball, blindsiding her without warning. No whistle, no review, no flagrant. In another game, Caitlin hit a deep three and was plowed straight through the quad by an Atlanta Dream player. Again, no call.
Even the Seattle win, man, you literally had Ezzy holding on to Caitlin, holding on to her, man. No call. No call, man.
Not even a discussion. That wasn't just missed, it was ignored.
Atlanta Dream games where Caitlin hit a deep three and literally, it wasn't even a landing zone foul. It was Maya Caldwell just plowed through her quad. No call. No call. No and one.
Gabby Williams called it out too.
There's another player, Gabby Williams. The Seattle Storm came out and blasted the WNBA referees as well. So is she lying to Cathy Engelbert?
The second time where I'm attacking, it's very physical. I'm saying something to the ref, watch my landing space, watch physicality. I get laughed at, and it ends in my ankle getting turned. The same thing happened in Dallas, a flagrant that wasn't called. Same thing happened here. So my ankle is hanging in there, but it's starting to get very frustrating. I'm averaging less than 2 free throws a game, and I drive, I'm physical. I'm not someone who's avoiding contact. So I just hope that the safety of players starts to become a priority versus the ego of refs.
She said it's the second time she's warned refs about players invading her landing space.
Gabby Williams has been landing zone fouled twice and the referees have ignored it twice.
Only to be laughed at and then end up with an injury. It's the same physical aggression Caitlin faces, but no protection is being offered. Caitlin, who constantly drives into the lane and plays off screens, is being mauled off ball with refs watching the play unfold.
Indiana Fever versus Connecticut Sun. They played pinball with her, where they basically just mauled Caitlin Clark and got away with it.
It gets worse. In one game against Seattle, Easy Mabagor literally held on to Caitlin's jersey, dragging her through the lane. Caitlin turned to the ref. Again, nothing. This isn't normal physicality. This is UFC-style contact happening in a professional basketball league, and the referees are standing still.
Caitlin Clark is the needle. Caitlin is boxed off.
Caitlin Clark is the star. Everything else is wrapped around her, and everything else is revolving around her. She's Rookie of the Year in the WNBA.
And while this goes on, guards across the league who play like Caitlin shifty, fast, perimeter heavy, are getting no help. Referees are calling phantom fouls one moment, then letting rugby tackles slide the next.
No one complains if you allow physicality in the post. No one's complaining if you're allowing physicality between bigs trying to fight it out. Like, that's basketball. They will call a phantom foul and then 30 seconds later allow somebody to be rugby tackled. This entire league is not in a good spot for this.
The worst part? There are 3 referees on the floor at all times. One of them is supposed to monitor off-ball movement. Yet somehow Caitlin getting grabbed, pulled, and hit in the face is invisible. Creators have counted at least 7 to 10 flagrant level fouls against Caitlin this season alone that were either ignored or downgraded.
There has been about 8 or 9 obvious flagrant 2s throughout the league this year. 8 or 9 obvious ones. One of them has been called.
In one case, Sophie Cunningham was the only player this year to receive a flagrant 2, and it was for retaliating after the refs lost control of the game again. That's how bad it's gotten. The refs don't just miss fouls, they lose control entirely, forcing players to take matters into their own hands. And what does this mean for Caitlin? Injury risk. She's already been knocked down more times than any other rookie this season. She's limping out of games while the refs shake their heads.
Whistle is becoming better when Caitlin is on the bench. Why can't Caitlin get these calls when she's in the game?
And this isn't just about missing calls anymore. It's about a failure to protect a generational talent, a player who has single-handedly boosted ratings, ticket sales, and national interest.
Kathy Engelbert, what she should be doing is trying to promote the league, trying to make sure everything works.
For weeks, as Caitlin Clark was taking elbows to the face, getting knocked to the floor, and walking off the court bruised and battered, one voice was noticeably missing, that of WNBA Commissioner Kathy Engelbert. Fans were outraged. Analysts were raising red flags. Even coaches and players were calling out the officiating. And yet the person with the most power to intervene said nothing. Not one public statement, not one disciplinary action, not even a hint of concern. Then when she finally did break her silence, she didn't address the physical abuse Caitlin was enduring.
It looked like Kathy Engelbert is finally giving a response to these horrendous WNBA referees.
She didn't acknowledge the league-wide outcry about the referees. Instead, she chose to downplay everything. In a now infamous quote, Engelbert said,
"No winning team ever complains about officiating. No losing team ever doesn't complain about officiating."
No winning team ever complains about officiating. No losing team ever doesn't complain.
Kathy Engelbert. So this is what she said, that no winning team ever complains about officiating, no losing team ever complains about officiating.
That was her response, a lazy, dismissive cliche, as if Caitlin getting shoulder-checked into the floor was just sour grapes, as if the video evidence of ignored fouls and players calling for help
We're sitting there, nobody even touched it. So how is that a foul?
was just typical whining from teams that couldn't win. But here's the thing, Kathy's statement isn't just tone deaf, it's factually wrong. The Indiana Fever won the game against the Connecticut Sun when Caitlin was nearly assaulted in the paint. They also beat the Chicago Sky after the Kennedy Carter hip check. In both games, the Fever still filed complaints.
The Indiana Fever was going off about the refs with the whole Kennedy Carter situation as they beat the Chicago Sky. They won those games.
And spoke out about the officiating.
I think the Indiana Fever has the worst whistle. Even with the win last night, I blankly saw them giving phantom foul after phantom foul. It was ghost fouls, man.
So no, this isn't just about losing. Even winning teams are calling it out. And it's not just Caitlin or the Fever. Coaches like Cheryl Reeve, whose Minnesota Lynx are one of the top teams in the league.
Cheryl Reeves has been going after the officials for a long time, and they are a winning team.
Have repeatedly criticized the referees, citing a lack of consistency, poor training, and dangerous officiating that puts players at risk. Even Stephanie White, head coach of the Fever, said point blank.
Stephanie White, head coach of the Indiana Fever, who said the coaching's getting better, the players are getting better, the officiating's not.
The coaching's getting better. The players are getting better. The officiating's not. Yet Kathy Engelbert is out here gaslighting everyone like the issue doesn't exist. That's not leadership. That's damage control. It's a PR strategy designed to protect the league's referees, even if it means sacrificing player safety and fan trust. It gets worse. The league itself has known for a while that its referees aren't ready. Internally, league officials have admitted that WNBA refs are mostly part-time, underpaid.
WNBA officials are not salaried. They're paid per game and often split duties with NCAA basketball.
And undertrained. They often split time with NCAA gigs, meaning they have to flip between entirely different rule books. Some of them don't even know how to handle basic replay reviews. In one game, a player literally had to tell the ref which direction possession should go during a jump ball. That's how bad it is. Yet instead of addressing these structural issues, investing in full-time referees, increasing training, or creating accountability systems, Engelbert doubled down on defending the refs. She framed the outrage as just noise, just people upset over close games. But this isn't noise. This is players asking for basic safety. This is fans begging for fairness. And instead of fixing it, the commissioner has chosen to protect the refs like they're the league's crown jewel, while Caitlin Clark, the actual star pulling millions of eyes to the sport, is thrown to the wolves. Let's not forget, it's not just sports YouTubers and angry fans calling this out. High-profile journalists like Christine Brennan and respected figures like Harry Edwards and Brianna Scurry are saying the exact same thing. The WNBA was completely unprepared for Caitlin Clark's arrival, and leadership has failed her miserably.
Christine Brennan's talking about the WNBA and the WNBA leadership in regards to Caitlin. The leadership of this league has just failed miserably.
Instead, the leadership of this league has just failed miserably. That's just not my voice in the book. That's other people as well. Yeah. And what a shame, because this is the moment they've been waiting for.
Caitlin's presence has boosted ratings, packed arenas, and sparked national conversation.
WNBA rumors suggest Caitlin Clark will be among the first stars making $1 million annually. The most notable of which is, y'all already know who, the needle mover, Caitlin Clark.
So in 2024, she averaged 16.5 points per game, 4 assists, 5.5 rebounds. She shot 37% from the field and 31.8% from three. Now, if you look at her preseason in 2025, she only played 2 games in this preseason, and one was against that Brazilian national team. She played 21 minutes. She averaged 14.5 points, 6 assists, 6 rebounds. She shot 52.5% from the field and 50% from three-point range.
She's done her part. But the commissioner's job was to create a league ready to protect and support its stars. Instead, what we're seeing is the opposite. A league that allows the star to get beaten up, and a commissioner who not only allows it, but defends it. So when fans say, the system is rigged, or call this corruption, they're not exaggerating. When a commissioner protects incompetence at the expense of players' well-being.
This is not incompetence from Kathy. She was the CEO of some little company. They want the WNBA to remain a small, safe space for free-form, normal basketball fans.
And lets a superstar be bullied, injured, and gaslit. That's not bad leadership. That's betrayal. And Caitlin Clark deserves better.
WNBA Commissioner Kathy Engelbert. So this is what she said right here. There's always room for growth and improvement in officiating. I do find it interesting when you sit in the chair I sit in.
As uncomfortable as it is to say out loud, we have to face it. There's a racial undertone to the way Caitlin Clark is being treated, and it's becoming impossible to ignore. While the league continues to parade its progressive values, its silence in the face of targeted aggression against its only mainstream superstar tells a very different story. And that story isn't just about missed fouls. It's about race, jealousy, and a deep failure of leadership. Let's start with what veteran journalist Christine Brennan said. She didn't sugarcoat it. She didn't hide behind polite language. She said it directly in her new book. Caitlin Clark is a white woman from Iowa entering a league that's 74% black. That's an issue. Not because Caitlin made it one, but because the league wasn't prepared to handle the complex identity politics that would come with her enormous popularity.
Caitlin Clark is the needle mover.
She is the needle mover.
She is the franchise player.
And she was the MVP.
She is the main draw.
She wasn't the one who was full sprinting down the court.
Caitlin Clark is a rising star in women's basketball. She's pulling in crazy viewership numbers.
She's my role model. I really look up to her. Why do you like Caitlin?
Yeah, she's so good at basketball.
Because she's that awesome person, and she has like a lot of aura, so like.
She's not just another rookie. She's a cultural phenomenon. She's getting more media coverage, sponsorships, and fan attention than any player in WNBA history. And for some, that seems to be more offensive than inspiring. The signs were always there. From the moment she was drafted, Caitlin was held to a different standard. Flagrant fouls committed against her, like the infamous Kennedy Carter hip check, were downplayed or ignored. But what made that incident even more disturbing was the reaction from some of the players. Angel Reese, instead of showing concern, stood and clapped enthusiastically while Caitlin lay on the floor in pain. That's not competitiveness. That's celebration of violence. Imagine if the roles were reversed. If Caitlin had hip-checked Angel Reese and then smiled while her teammate danced on the sideline, the outrage would have broken the internet. The league likely would have issued a statement within hours. But when it's Caitlin on the receiving end, silence. The referees didn't call a flagrant. The league didn't fine Kennedy Carter. And Kathy Engelbert? She never mentioned the incident once. That's not oversight. That's willful ignorance. This isn't just about one foul. It's about a climate that allows Caitlin to be targeted, physically and verbally.
No doubt Caitlin Clark is a great story. How big of a part of the story is that for you, and is that for this book?
Caitlin Clark is way more important to the WNBA than Tiger Woods was to men's golf. We'd never seen anything like that before.
This is the greatest moment ever for the WNBA.
While framing her as the villain for simply existing in the spotlight. When she scores 30 points, it's stat padding. When she gets fouled, it's flopping. When she shows emotion, it's arrogance. Meanwhile, other players are praised for passion, toughness, and fire. It's not just inconsistent, it's racially coded. And let's be clear, this isn't Caitlin's fault. She didn't ask to be the face of the league. She didn't demand headlines or sponsorship deals. She simply played her game, broke records, and brought millions of new fans to a league that has struggled for decades to gain attention. That should have been a win for everyone. But instead of embracing the momentum, some within the WNBA seem to resent it. Veterans like Diana Taurasi and Cheryl Swoops have taken shots at Caitlin's success, claiming she hasn't earned it or isn't ready.
It's all about a basketball player who happens to be a woman. We'd never seen anything like that before. 4 million more people watching the women's final than the men's the next night. There's a sentence I thought I had trouble saying it because I thought I could never say it, right? 4 million more people watching the women's final than the men's in the NCAA basketball.
Despite her already breaking assist records and single-handedly saving ticket sales in multiple cities. Christine Brennan put it perfectly. You don't have to cheer for her, guard her, compete with her, but why minimize her? The same goes for the fans and media figures who constantly try to pit Caitlin against Angel Reese, as if there's only room for one woman to succeed. The narrative is being pushed that Caitlin's popularity is somehow taking something away from the rest of the league, as if visibility is a zero-sum game. But that's simply not true. Caitlin's spotlight shines on everyone. The old saying applies here, a rising tide lifts all boats, and Caitlin is the tide. Let's not forget the cold hard numbers. When Caitlin plays, stadiums sell out, viewership triples, merchandise flies off shelves. When she was injured, ticket prices plummeted from $300 to under $10 in some cities, including Angel Reese's home arena. That's not hate, that's market reality. Yet the league continues to treat her like a temporary guest instead of its greatest asset.
And what a shame, because this is the moment they've been waiting for.
Even off the court, the targeting continues. Christine Brennan herself was nearly blacklisted by the WNBA Players Association for daring to ask tough questions about Caitlin's treatment. Her credentials were almost pulled because she asked DJ Carrington about hitting Caitlin in the eye. In what universe does a journalist get punished for asking about a flagrant foul caught on national TV? When Brennan raised the issue, she was called racist. Megan Rapinoe and others piled on, not for defending Caitlin, but for simply questioning why a white woman being targeted in a mostly black league isn't a conversation we're allowed to have. That's the core of this problem. The league is so afraid of appearing racially biased that it refuses to acknowledge any wrongdoing, even when the evidence is undeniable.
Caitlin Clark is the GOAT.
She signed my jersey. I'm so happy. I'm crying. I'm so happy. This is the best day ever.
Caitlin Clark effect seems to be crazier than year one.
I love watching her score and just everything about her.
They went the extra mile just to watch her play here.
This is great news for women's basketball. Period.
That's nice.
And she was shooting the shit out of it.
Of course she was.
Right, so she was shooting the shit out of it. And
she's the face of the league.
Agreed.
She's the face of the league. Agreed.
Just have nothing but great things to say about who she is as a person. She's so welcoming and so warm as an individual that she can have a conversation with anybody. She's cut from the same cloth as me in that regard. You know what? Us Midwesterners, we tend to just, accept everybody with open arms. She was so kind to my family and everyone in the suite when she came to KC. So huge fans of Caitlin Clark.
It is a mad situation just all around when it comes to Caitlin Clark, because it's very clear that she is way stronger.
This is not about silencing black players. It's about holding everyone to the same standard. Caitlin Clark should be allowed to compete, succeed, and yes, even fail, without being used as a symbol or a scapegoat. But right now, the league is treating her like a problem they didn't ask for instead of the opportunity they've been waiting decades for. If the WNBA continues to let this go unaddressed, if it keeps protecting referees, minimizing racism, and gaslighting the fans, it won't just be Caitlin Clark who suffers. The league will miss its one shot at becoming mainstream. And when that happens, it won't be because Caitlin failed the WNBA. It'll be because the WNBA failed her.
This is where incremental growth ended and exponential growth began, okay? So whatever they talk about incremental growth, that's fine. It's done. The incremental growth era is over in 2024. 700,000 votes for Caitlin, 618 for Aaliyah, 600,000 for Asia, 400,000 and 24,000 for Brianna, 381,000 for Angel Reese.
Caitlin Clark didn't ask to be a savior, but that's exactly what she's become. She brought sold-out arenas, record-breaking TV ratings, and a wave of new fans who had never watched a WNBA game before. And how has the league repaid her? By letting her get shoved, hit, and disrespected, while the commissioner protects the very system that enables it. This isn't just mismanagement, it's sabotage. The WNBA had a once-in-a-generation opportunity to elevate women's sports, and it's fumbling it in real time. Fans see it, players know it, and now more than ever, it's time to say it out loud. Caitlin Clark deserves better. If the league wants to survive, let alone thrive, it needs to protect its star, not tear her down. Let me know in the comments if you're 100% behind Caitlin, because if they won't defend her, we will.